Next up, we have cornerback Garnett, I'm sorry, I apologize. Garnett Hollis Jr. Questions for Garnett? Greg?
So Garnett, let's start with the transfer. Probably a tough decision. Why did you want to do it, and ultimately, why West Virginia?
I think just being at Northwestern for the 4 years that I was, I was just ready for a change. I got my degree, and I kind of did everything that I wanted to, in that program. And, for my last year, I wanted to get everything that I could out of college football. Coming to West Virginia, they have the fan base. They had the record, the winning record. They had a lot of players coming back that were key players. And, they got a good culture over here. So, being able to talk to Coach Cod and Coach Shadon and Drew throughout the portal, they kind of just showed the initiative that I was looking for. I wanted to feel like I was wanted for another program. So, having conversations with them every day and, getting that feel for them, it only felt, it felt right.
How do you adapt to both on the field and off the field at WVU?
It's been a smooth transition. I feel like the players really accepted me when I first got here, so that made it a lot easier. And then I also had one of my former teammates come with me as well. So, the transition was a lot easier than, me going somewhere where I didn't know anybody. And then on the field, I feel like we gelled, from the beginning, being able to communicate, being able to talk out schemes, talk out different things on the field that we see and that we like and don't like. So I think it's all just been smooth transition. I haven't had any real problems for real. I think it's been a great transition.
Is that process of recruiting, as a graduated player, different from when you were being recruited out of high school just because you kind of know what the college game is like? How did that play out? What did West Virginia's coaches talk with you about?
It was the same and different. I think, just from a recruiting standpoint, it was kind of the same. They want to show you the facilities. They want to show you the things that they offer to you. But for me, it was more of, I got 1 year left, so I'm trying to make the most out of it, and I'm trying to get to the next level. So the school that I go to, I need to be in a position that I can take that next step. And Coach Shadon, Coach Cod, they all made me feel like I could do that. They made me feel like I can be a top round guy. They made me feel like I can come here and make plays. They made me feel like with Beanie's success, they felt like I could make that same success. So just talking to them every day, it felt like a connection, like I had a true connection with them. So that made the process a lot easier than, going out and having to talk to people every day about different things that, I wasn't really interested in. They was focused on the right stuff, and for me, from the jump, I was all in.
You mentioned Beanie. How much of a role did that play in you making a decision going from the Big Ten to a different conference? Talk about that a little bit.
He definitely played a big role, and I was able to talk to him in the process a little bit, and he just kind of just seeing the process and him going from Big 10 to Big 12 and seeing his stats and the plays that he made, the transition that he made, it was kind of night and day. And me, I only had 37 targets last year in the Big 10, but he had 24 PBUs, so you can see the difference of, how many times he was targeted more than me. So, being able to get all of that information and see the technique that Coach Shadon implements and seeing it work, it was really a no-brainer, to be behind a consistent All-American and, try to replace him. I was up for the challenge. It was something I was looking forward to.
All that information was right out there in front of you, right?
Yeah, it was definitely right out there in front of me, and then I just kind of took that and, just ran with it.
You mentioned you talked to Beanie. Anything you can share about what he said to you about his experience as a Mountaineer?
He was just telling me that it was a great program, great culture. The coaches, they really coached, and that's something that I also wanted was, I wanted to be coached. I wanted my technique to be heightened. I wanted my feet to get better. I wanted my ball skills to get better. And, he kind of just told me all of those things were true. That, you know, you can kind of get lost in, you know, what coaches tell you and, you know, what you really believe and how it really is in the program. So him kind of solidifying that information is something that, you know, I didn't take for granted at all.
Kind of a two-parter for you. One, how difficult was everything last year with everything going on and the distractions? And two, because of that, how relieving has it been this year to kind of not have that through the summer?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a big distraction. For me, it wasn't as hard because, you know, I was focused on trying to come out last year. So, you know, my goals and my mindset was a little bit different than a lot of people on the team. But as a team, we kind of just tried to get that out of the way, you know, not have that as much of a distraction as it already was. And then, you know, now it's just all about football, you know, trying to win games, trying to go to the Big 12 championship. You know, that's things that I've always wanted to do, you know, being a championship game and win, you know. So being able to do that now and having that chance now is something that, you know, we talk about every day. We talk about being a championship team every day. So, you know, that's the standard, you know, practice, walk through, you know, anything that we got going on, the championship standard is the standard. So being in a program now where that's the standard is something that I was looking forward to.
And then off that, did it help you develop to getting a new position coach, a new head coach quickly this time around? When you come here in the spring, knowing that you had to do the same thing last year?
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to adjust. You know, I didn't really have too much of a worry, you know, going from a different position coach. I didn't had a couple different position coaches throughout my career. So, you know, that's not one thing that I was really too worried about. But I knew it was going to be an adjustment, you know, just like everything. But, you know, I think the adjustment was a lot easier because I had an actual connection with them. So, you know, it made it easier to listen to what they said and seeing Beanie's success last year. So, you know, it wasn't too hard of, you know, an adjustment, I would say.
Garnett, being a player at Northwestern, and it just seems like on the outside there's a stigma of it's like these really smart kids who get to play football, and you know they're academics and not athletes so much. You're smiling. That's good. I was worried. Yeah. Does that must bug you guys over there and be powerful? But like life in that program, what is like day to day? What are you working with when it comes to talent? All the other responsibilities you have as well.
I think, you know, when you're a player like me, and then, you know, you got other players over there where, you know, football is number one, but you gotta have the school aspect too. You know, it can kind of get a little bit annoying, you know, being called like the smart kids and, you know, all the little stigma around being a Northwestern student. But, you know, for me, it was just about being the best that I can on the field and, you know, taking advantage of the school, yes. And it was hard, you know, don't get me wrong. But I think me focusing on football allowed me to do good in the classroom. You know, I was focused so much on football that, you know, the classroom, it kind of came, you know, second nature because you got to do both at all times. So I think that aspect of just being a football player and being a student is something that, you know, the whole team over there, you know, they kind of had that whole mindset of, you know, we here to play football first. You know, we all came as football players.
Just to go back to just the nature of last season too, it ends up really well. You guys get hot at the end, but how hard was it to get that rocker over the top? Because you had some close games that just went the wrong way. There was probably some one-sided games in there too. It had to seem hard to envision like an 8-4-5 season, right? Was it 8-5? Could you ever see that at the end when it started so crazy in July?
I feel like we had the talent to do it. You know, starting off the season, you know, it was definitely a little rocky, losing the game, winning the game, losing the game, winning the game. And I didn't know when it was going to click. I felt like it could click, and I felt like it was going to click. I just didn't know when in the season it was going to click. But then in that back half, that back stretch of the season, that's when we really started clicking for it. And that's when you need it, you know, championships. And that's won all in November. So we had our best half of the season, best quarter of the season in November. And that kind of led us going to that Vegas Bowl. And, you know, we had so much confidence going into that game that, you know, we came out on top and finished the season the right way.
what you first answered as far as playing at Northwestern. You come here, this is the only game in town. I mean, in Chicago, you play football at Northwestern, you got the Bears, you got the Cubs, you got the White Sox, you got the Bulls. I mean, you're not page one on the Tribune on Sunday morning a lot of times. What do you think it's going to be like finally being the team?
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that I was excited about. You know, I wanted to be in a college town. You know, coming out the portal, that's one thing that I kind of wanted, was because I never got that at Northwestern. And growing up, I always wanted to be, every Saturday, I wanted the game to be the biggest thing in the state. And now, you know, I have that opportunity, and being able to have that opportunity and go out there and play in front of, you know, these type of crowds, these type of fans. This fan base is, you know, really loyal. It's rowdy, and that's all of the stuff that I was looking for. So I'm definitely excited to be able to play in front of the home crowd 7 times. We got 7 home games, so you know I'm gonna take advantage of each and every one of them.
Experienced that yet?
Nah.
How different do you expect it to be? I mean,
I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be a big difference. You know, I've played in front of big crowds. I played at Penn State. I played at Nebraska. Played at Michigan, but they wasn't rooting for me. So now having a full stadium that's rooting for my side of the ball, and you know, being able to have the crowd super loud on third downs, you know, that's something that I feel like it's gonna be night and day difference.
Garnett, scheme-wise, difference from what you're playing now to what you played before, and for you, is corner, or are there changes?
I mean, at the end of the day, corner is corner. You got to cover the person in front of you, which is the hardest job. But I feel like scheme-wise, there's definitely it's some differences. There's always going to be some differences. But I feel like overall, it's pretty much the same. You know, it's kind of different verbiage. I would say the main difference is the different verbiage. But scheme-wise, I feel like it's, you know, I got the same job in certain coverages. So I feel like it's not too much of a difference for real.
What did it mean to you to have a teammate at Northwestern kind of come with you? And I'd imagine it's a little easier in terms of trying to find a place to live and just getting to know people and having a friend that you otherwise wouldn't have right away.
Our family, that's my homie for real. Like, that's my bro. So our families is locked in, and that made our families a lot easier to have us in the portal. You know, to let us go and do our own things, and you know, being able to do it together is something that, you know, we was definitely looking forward to. And if we didn't plan it, that's the craziest part. That
it was real close, you guys committing.
Yeah, we did not plan it at all. And I feel like that's something that was definitely talked about when we first committed, when I committed after him. But nah, it wasn't planned. It just kind of worked out this way. And, you know, it's a blessing that it did, because, you know, being able to see him grind, and you know, being have the opportunity that he has now, you know, is definitely a blessing to just be able to see him up close. You know, I don't have to watch him on TV. I can watch him on the sideline. I can be out there on the field with him. So, you know, it's definitely a blessing, and I'm grateful that I was able to be in the same position with him as I was before.
Did you guys meet at Northwestern, or did you know before that?
So we met on our official at Northwestern, and we was roommates, and then, you know, it kind of just became a lifelong friendship after that.
Like, was it just coincidence, like, or did you guys talk about transferring? Like, did you just see him commit and you're like, hey, that's where I was going?
Nah. When I got in the portal, or before I got in the portal, I had kind of, you know, he was getting recruited by West V hard, and, you know, I just asked him, like, see if they need a corner. And they said they did. So, you know, once I kind of got in the portal, it was kind of, you know, head dive first in to you know, them recruiting me. And, you know, I obviously had a lot of different schools, you know, coming after me and trying to get me to swing their way. But, you know, I felt the connection, and I think he felt the connection too. And it was in different ways. You know, we got recruited very differently, but, you know, I feel like God made it happen the way that he wanted it to. So I feel like now, being in the position that we're in now, you know, it was meant for us to be together for our last year.
What do you think of the defense around you? You were part of a good defense at Northwestern. How's this one at West Virginia?
Yeah, we got some guys out there. We got some guys out there on defense. I mean, you just look at our defense and it looks different. You know, it looks different than our defense at Northwestern. You know, size-wise, speed-wise, length. I mean, we got depth. We got a lot over here that we can play with. And you know, if one guy goes down, we got the depth to replace it. And then we got the speed to run sideline to sideline. You know, in the back end, we got the guys that can cover the long ball and the short ball. We got linebackers that can come up and make tackles. And so, you know, I'm excited to play with this defense. You know, I'm super excited because in practice we show it every day that we got a defense that can be a top 25 defense. So, you know, August 31st is going to be our first test, and I think we're going to be prepared for it.
You able to give the team anything about playing Penn State? I mean, it's here, not in State College, but that's a familiar opponent for you that maybe, obviously this team played them last year, but maybe you have a difference of opinion based on being in the conference with them?
I wouldn't say it's too much of a difference. I would just say, you know, with them playing last year, they kind of did some of the similar stuff that they ran against Northwestern and how they ran against them in week 1. So, you know, I think they're the same team. You know, they don't show too much respect for their opponents unless it's Michigan or O State. So I think that's something that's similar when they played each other. And, you know, I think it's just, you know, going out there and outplaying them. You know, I think that's the main key is, you know, don't give them the game. You know, that's what they want. That's what they think every team is going to do is give them the game. But I think when we go out there and, you know, punch them in the mouth and, you know, we take the life from them, I think that's going to be the difference for sure. I think.
Sounds like you got the Penn State animosity already.
Yeah.
That's a nice
the last 2 years I done lost against them. And they both been close enough games where, you know, we could have pulled it out. So, you know, being on the team now where we have that chance, you know, we got the quarterback to do it. We got the offense to put up points against those guys, and then we got the defense to shut them down on defense. You know, I'm ready. I'm ready to go against them for sure.
Required to say something nice about receivers, but you're kind of known for being physical, pressing. That's something you guys have tried to do to help the receivers in camp. What are those competitions have been like, and have the receivers been successful getting out of jams and presses?
Yeah, I love going against those guys. You know, the competition is where it needs to be for us to be great on both sides. You know, I know that I can't just go into practice and lollygag around and think I'm just going to put my hands on everybody. That's not the case. You know, they got good releases. They got things in their game that are savvy. Going against guys like T-Ray, P. Fox, Jay Bray, Huddy. You know, all of those guys have tools in a bag. So, you know, being able to go against them every day is something that I look forward to. You know, I know it's going to be a day where iron sharpens iron. I know it's going to be a day where, you know, they put their best forward and I'm going to have to put my best forward. So, you know, that's something that I'm looking forward and excited about every day.
Can you jam them, though? Or are they getting by you?
I can put my hands on them, but if I don't have the technique, they will go by me. So, you know, it just depends on if I have my technique. If I don't use the good technique, then, you know, I definitely have a chance of getting ran by. So that, like I said, the competition is A1 every day.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank y'all.